The Monday, July 28th, 2025 meeting of the Marquette City Commission is called to order at 6 p.m. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deputy City Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Gottlieb?
Here.
Commissioner Larson?
Here.
Commissioner Mayer?
Here.
Commissioner Ottaway?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Schlegel?
Here.
And Mayor Hanley.
Here. Commissioners, I have an agenda in front of us. Do we have a motion? Commissioner Davis?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
A second? Commissioner Ottaway?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, please say no. Motion passes 7-0. I have no announcements today, so that brings us to our first public comment session of the evening. Public comments may not exceed 3 minutes per person. Please state your name and physical address when approaching the commission. Do we have anyone for public comment?
Margaret Brum, 404 East Magnetic Street. I'm here to talk about something I haven't talked about before, which to me sounds pretty much impossible. Number one, I was here at the last meeting where a commission was formed, a subcommission, I don't know the exact name, to look at the e-bike situation and to promulgate rules for the city of Marquette. And I'm here to say that I'm in favor of this commission. The sooner it works, the better, because I was on Washington Street last week driving below the speed limit. There were cars coming every which way and pedestrians. And I was following two young men, and I didn't have a video because I was driving Washington Street. And they were on e-bikes, and they had helmets on, and they were popping wheelies and driving hands-free on Washington Street. And I kept backing up and backing up and backing up, thinking when they hit the ground, I have to be careful not to hit them. And my proposal is simple, that you cannot ride an e-bike in this town till you have a driver's license with a motorcycle endorsement, because there's no difference between an e-bike and a motorcycle. However, that's not a productive comment because it's too black and white. I'm here to introduce you tonight to Zach. He's sitting right there. He's going to follow me for public comment. I'm here to advocate strongly that you appoint him to that e-bike commission. I know you've got your people. I know it's all done. But he is a voice for the one-wheel community, and it has been the most effective, brand-new event in this town since the last 10 years. Why it's effective? Chief Ryan, you know Zach, right? Yes, just nod your head, just nod your head. Just
Margaret,
nod your, okay,
you know you're only supposed to talk to us.
I know, I just nodded his head. I wasn't asking for secrets. But the fact is, when Zach and his crew of one-wheelers came into town, they didn't come in like the Wild Bunch with Marlon Brando saying nothing mattered. They reached out to the city. They reached out to every committee that has anything to do with traffic. They did reach out to the police department and every other event planning issue. They have done everything you could ask newcomers to do. And in fact, when Zach comes up here, he's going to share with you some of the recent events, and he will be careful not to address anybody but the commission. But the point is, you missed a boat here. This young man should be involved in this process. He is out on the road. I am not. I can see what's going to happen as clear as a bell, but he's been part of the planning of how to avoid these problems. And he also has the patience most young people don't have for the process. And this is where to encourage him is to encourage the future of new people coming here with new ideas. And that's what we're supposed to want, is to have Marquette be, with a Guts Frisbee locate. We have Frisbee golf. We could be the one-wheel capital of the Upper Peninsula and bring in new tourists with new ideas that would bring in new income. So I'm encouraging you to listen to him and appoint him to this commission. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Zach Youngs, 816 West K Ave. Some of you guys know me as Marquette One Wheel. I've met some of you at many of these commissions and meetings and various events to talk about the one wheels. I've been coming since 2001 when I got stopped by the roundabout going 6 miles an hour, which then I found out there was an ordinance. I was following state law because state law says one wheels are non-motorized devices. So when you see these signs that say no motorized vehicles or no motorized device, if you're out of town and you didn't know our ordinance, you would assume that you are riding a non-motorized device. We've been hosting the Marquette Fresh Coast Float, which is to encourage anybody on any device. We even have people that run it. We've had rollerbladers, scooters, bikes, e-bikes, one wheels, of course. Been working with the city, with Finkbeiner mainly, to make the event go, or the group ride go very smoothly. And it has been every year except for the second year. The first year we didn't know about the ordinance. The second year we tried to follow the ordinance to the T, and we ended up creating this huge back of cars right next to Lower Batson Park, and it almost caused a driver to swerve and hit one of the one-wheelers because they were impatient. Ever since then, the police have told us, safety first. If you have a kid, you're a parent, be with your kid, be on the path, and it's worked out since. This year we had a record number of 50 people, and it's always held during Hiawatha weekend, which is peak tourism. Most of you probably wouldn't even know that it happened because it's so safe, which is part of the reason why I want these to be akin to a Class 1 e-bike. They follow mostly in line. It doesn't have the saddle and it doesn't have pedals. Other than that, it follows literally every regulation a Class 1 e-bike does have. With the successes of that, I like to point, it's the rider, not the device per se. Many successes, like I said, most of you guys don't even know that it even happened. But it did happen, and it was awesome. Big cookout at Presque Isle. Like I said, record numbers. I would just like to see us starting from a positive place of from reading the master plan, it seems like we're working on how do we move these items rather than working with, we're starting, it seems like the city's starting from a negative rather than a positive. We want these off the path starting, that's the start point. Rather than how do we include these into the path? How do we make the path safer for everyone? Is it the stripe line? Is it more monitoring with police enforcement? I don't know. I am in favor of, ticketing those people that are misbehaving, essentially. But thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else for public comment?
Hi, Matt Lundberger, 1406 Garfield, here in the city of Marquette. So I don't want to jump on bandwagons or try to add my comment to what they just said because they're accurate. I'm here to kind of listen to how you guys want to propose the Amtrak letter. I'm fully on board with bringing train service all the way up to the UP. I just don't see where we're going to put it. And in that sense, I'm here to ask that we somehow rethink transportation in this town. We don't have nearly enough public transport opportunities, let alone ridership. I think that's more of a thought process and a lengthy kind of evolution that if we're going to have a train service going all the way to Chicago, we need to have a non-motorized vehicle somehow up here in the UP. Otherwise, they're going to be stranded at whatever base point there is. We don't have an Uber set up. We don't have taxis like most big cities do. There's a lot of transportation infrastructure that we need to get used to if we're going to be a hub for Amtrak. And I mean that in the sense, how many of you drove your own car here? How many of you got a carpool? How many people actually rode their bikes, did whatever? How did you get here? And I'm going to guarantee, I drove. I'm not going up and down those hills. Literally, I'm not going, even with an e-bike. It's a little just too much, especially in wintertime. So if we're talking about bringing people here, if we're talking about people moving around town here, if we're talking about safety, because we're getting more people and because we're using more smaller spaces, I would like to see either you folks or you set up a commission. We had a housing commission that tried to answer a lot of housing calls. This goes with that. Where do you park your car? Where do you start your home work day life? And if it can be jumped on a bus, jumped on a train, jumped on a trolley, we're more likely to be less stressed. We're more likely to have fewer accidents and all around. So I'm encouraging you to somehow open up the conversation. The Amtrak's not going to happen next year, so we've got a few years to try to work it out. On the same note, going downhill on Lincoln Ave, I asked for speed limit signs, and now Northern has a radar detector down there. The blinking lights go and telling you you're going 30 miles an hour, but until you get down to the bottom of the hill, the trees obscure what the actual speed limit is. So please, just put up a speed limit somewhere between the high school and Northern. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Olivia Lubig, and my address is 1200 Ortman Road, and I am here to talk about the circus that has visited Marquette year after year. In a moment, I'm going to hand you a draft ordinance that would stop traveling animal acts from coming to Marquette. As a Yooper who grew up in Marquette County, I know that we care about the natural world and the animals that live within it. This ordinance is a logical, common sense step to take in accordance with our values. Traveling animal acts are a cruel, inhumane form of entertainment. Wild animals like tigers and elephants endure painful training methods and extreme confinement that causes severe mental distress. There are also public safety risks that come with a city hosting a circus. For example, disease transmission from animals to humans, and the risk of wild animals escaping. Just last year, an elephant escaped from a circus and roamed the streets of Butte, Montana before being recaptured. I am here to say that this ordinance is necessary because there's nothing else standing in the way of a circus or any other entity from bringing traveling animal acts to Marquette. This ordinance would not impact stationary zoos, rehabbers, 4-H, horse shows, or dog shows. The only animals that will be impacted are the animals listed specifically on the ordinance. Under this ordinance, circuses would still be permitted to visit Marquette. They just couldn't bring the animals that are listed. Marquette has the opportunity here to take a stand against the cruel, inhumane practice of traveling wild animal acts by passing this ordinance, like nearly 200 other localities have across the U.S. Local ordinances such as this one can influence broader change at the county and state level. By passing this ordinance, we show that Marquette does not support cruel traveling animal acts, and we discourage these acts from coming to Marquette and surrounding areas. When a locality passes an ordinance similar to the one I'm going to hand you in a moment, circuses either stop visiting altogether or they alter their shows to exclude traveling animal acts. I am here speaking today because I see a disconnect between the values that I was raised with and the traveling animal acts that are still permitted to come to Marquette. On a page that I'm going to hand you, you'll find my contact information. Please feel free to reach out via email or phone with any questions, and I'd be happy to meet and talk further. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else for public comment? Okay, with that, public comment is closed for the first portion of the meeting, which brings us to our presentation for the evening. Fiscal year 2024 audit by Mike Grentz from Anderson Tackman. Mike, thank you for being here.
I have 70 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking 80, but like if you want to make it short.
Short? We can do short. All right. So, if you have questions as we go through, ask, and we can go wherever you want. Otherwise, I'm going to keep it short because I'm assuming we all have read the 300-some page nice little booklet in front of you. Page 17 of the big book. We'll do a couple things here and then we'll go to the short one. Is the opinion. You have an unmodified opinion. You've complied with all the generally accepted accounting principles. It says they're your statements, not ours, and we take a sampling of transactions. We don't look at every single transaction. Flipping to page 36 and 37, when you roll the city up in the big bucket, you added about $8.7 million to the bottom line this year 5 million in the business type funds, the utility funds, and 3.5 in the governmental funds. Looking at the governmental funds, you can kind of look at page 41, go through all the different calculations and changes that have to be done to get back to the numbers you usually see on a monthly basis. So if you look at page 40, you can see the governmental funds had a loss here of $280,000. Nothing significant in here. The local street fund had a loss based off projects. The other governmental funds, it's just projects that you're doing. The general fund actually added almost 500,000 to the bottom line, which is good. Considering your final budget, you had budgeted for about a $1.5 million loss. So you came out $2 million better than you thought you were. The simple look at that is no one individual expense came in better. It was just kind of spread out through all the departments of about 1.5 million, and you got about $500,000 more in more revenue than what you had finally budgeted when you put it all together. Looking at page 45, looking at the water, sewer, stormwater funds, all of those funds, they actually had about a $5 million gain. Water, sewer, and storm had almost between 1.2 million and $2 million gain in each of those funds. But what you have to realize is part of that gain is actually going toward the debt service payments that you had. So it kind of offsets those two when you look at those. The other thing to that's always something to look at for those that want, you can, if you look at 132 and 133 is the pension liability. So the pension liability went from a 58% funded to 62% funded. So it was a drop of roughly $2 million for the year. So that's always good to see. With that, we'll go over to the nice charts, easier to follow. Looking at the first one, looking at where the general fund cash and equity are, you can see that your actual equity is just above the 120-day benchmark. So you're looking good there. The cash is above there. So that's always good to see. So I don't see anything dramatic here. Looking at the 5-year trend on revenues, you can see the taxes are slowly creeping up year after year. Everything else has been pretty constant over the last few years. And that's where when you look at the comparison of last year versus this year, not a lot of change. Where's the money coming from? Most of it's coming from taxes. 66 versus 68% of all the general fund revenues coming from that bucket. That's when we look at expenses on the next graph, number 4. Not a lot of big swings other than in the transfers out to other funds, and that's all based off the different projects that you're doing in the different funds, so the general fund's helping offset those. Other than that, you're not seeing a whole lot of swings and variations from year to year. And that's where looking at the transfers out on the next one over the last 5 years, you know, the major and local street funds get the bulk of the transfers, and that's because they're not bringing enough money in to do all the projects, so the general fund's helping offset those. And then the internal service funds, you know, last year had a big transfer in, but otherwise they're the other big one that gets some transfers. And that's where when you look at where is, on the graph number 6, where's the money going? The big piece is always public safety, 39% last year, 43% this year. Public works is the next big one, 21 versus 23%. So no real surprise where the money goes. Those are always the big ones. And then those that want, I'm sure everybody will want to take this home, the last page, and track all the numbers into the report, make sure it's all good. But the numbers will tie right into the report at this point is where I would say, here's all the findings that we have, but we don't have any this year from the main audit report, so that's good. There we go. There's the short version. Nice and fast. So, does anybody want to talk about anything else?
I love that we had no findings this year. That's great.
Yeah.
Stacy, go for it.
Thank you very much for putting this all together. I literally got this when I sat down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go through this as best of my abilities, and I will come back with questions, and then I will reserve the right to ask questions.
I'll give you my
Later.
personal cell phone number.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
seriously.
if anybody wants to talk about anything after the fact, after you look at it, read it, trace it all through, I'm here for any questions down the road.
I hope that's okay, Mayor.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
What, you're saying you can't remember to read this that fast?
I'm good, but I'm not that good.
Yeah, I got that out pretty quick here.
Anything from this side, down here? Comments, questions, concerns? Look at how easy we were.
There we go.
That was great. Good job.
Now we can do the long version. Do we want to go in a little more detail?
Line by line.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Okay, with that, it brings up the consent agenda. Commissioners, do we have a motion on consent? Commissioner Ottaway,
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
do we have a second? Commissioner Larson,
I'll second.
any discussion? Deputy City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Gottlieb?
Yeah, yes.
Commissioner Larson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ottaway?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schlegel?
Yes.
And Mayor Hanley.
Yes. This motion passes 7-0, and it brings us to new business for the evening. Our first new business item is City Manager and City Attorney Evaluation Subcommittee. Deputy City Clerk, can you please read the background?
The City Commission annually appoints 3 commissioners to serve on a committee to review and compile the city managers and city attorneys' performance evaluations and to make recommendations regarding future terms of employment and compensation. Fiscal effect, none with this action. Recommendation, authorize the mayor to appoint 3 commissioners to serve on the city manager and city attorney evaluation subcommittee with an immediate charge to evaluate the city managers and city attorneys' performance in fiscal year 2025 and bring back a recommendation for the compensation in terms of employment at the city manager's the city commission's September 29th regular meeting. Alternatives as determined by the commission.
Commissioner Gottlieb.
I move to authorize the mayor to appoint 3 commissioners to serve on the city manager and city attorney evaluation subcommittee with an immediate charge to evaluate the city managers and city attorney's performance in the fiscal year 2025 and bring back a recommendation for the compensation in terms of employment at the city commission's September 29th regular meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Ottaway?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Yep.
So as commissioners, this is probably the single most important job that we have. When asked by people in public, what is it that you do? This is ultimately what we do. Ultimately we want to make sure we have good communication with our 2 employees as a whole, and ensure that we're supporting them and make sure that, we're kind of the one check and balance on the things that they do. So that's really what this is about. Thanks.
Or with that, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Motion passes 7-0. And I would like to know, or to let everyone know, that I will be appointing Commissioner Ottaway, Pro Tem Schlegel, and myself to this committee. Up next, we have the delegate for the Michigan Municipal League Convention. Deputy City Clerk, can I have the background, please?
Each year, the Michigan Municipal League holds a meeting of its members, which includes the election of trustees, voting on policy issues, and other business. In accordance with Michigan Municipal League's bylaws, each member municipality is asked to appoint 1 official voting delegate to represent the municipality at this annual meeting. The Michigan Municipal League annual meeting will take place in Grand Rapids, September 17th through 19th, 2025. Fiscal effect, none by this action. Recommendation, authorize the mayor to appoint one city delegate to attend the 2025 Michigan Municipal League annual meeting. Alternatives as determined by the commission.
Thank you. Commissioners, do I have a motion? Pro Tem Schlegel?
I would make the motion to authorize the mayor to appoint one city delegate to attend the 2025 Michigan Municipal League annual meeting.
Do I have a second? Commissioner Ottaway?
Second.
Any discussion?
None.
Okay. All in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. Motion passes 7-0. And again, I would just like to let everyone know that I will be appointing Pro Tem Schlegel to this as the delegate for the convention. Up next, we have the subcontract for the KPIC and the City of Marquette Forecast Grant Administration. Deputy City Clerk, can you please read the background?
The Keweenaw Bay Indian Community was awarded a $110,000 grant from the Forecast Public Art Foundation, funded by the Mellon Foundation, to complete Phase 2 of the Seven Grandfathers Teaching Monument. Phase 2, a sculptural centerpiece titled Ishkudi, will represent the Three Fires Confederacy. The Seven Grandfathers Teaching Monument was originally developed in partnership with the city's Public Art Commission and Indigenous sculptor Jason Quignell. Phase 1, which included the installation of 7 symbolic boulders, was completed with funding from the city's Public Art Fund and the NEA Our Town Grant. In the fall 2024, the city's Office of Arts and Culture prepared and led the grant application, along with the KBIC, with the understanding that the city would manage the project and retain ownership of the completed work. To streamline the grant administration, KBIC leadership has requested the city serve as a subgrantee through a process allowed by the Forecast Grant. This subcontract will formalize the city's project leadership role while enabling full access to awarded funds. KBIC has long supported the city's cultural initiatives in an advisory capacity, offering expertise on Anishinaabe history and providing key support letters for major funding efforts. Fiscal effect, none with this action. Recommendation, approve the subcontract agreement with KBIC to enable efficient execution of this public art project to install Phase 2 of the Seven Grandfathers Teaching Monument and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement. Alternatives as determined by the commission.
Thank you. Commissioners, do I have a motion? Pro Tem Schlegel?
I would make the motion to approve the subcontract agreement with KBIC to enable efficient execution of the public art project to install Phase 2 of the Seven Grandfather Teachings Monument and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement.
Do we have a second? Commissioner Larson?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this second phase come to fruition. It's been a while since, we've seen this project get brought to the shoreline of Marquette, and it's just going to be a real focal point for our heritage trail and history trail. It's going to be great.
I too certainly support it. It's exciting to see these collaborations come together. Certainly, I think the whole commission was very happy with the initial installation, and it's a highlight of our cultural heritage in the area. So looking forward to seeing this be completed.
And Your Honor, the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians designated me as their representative on the Cultural Advisory Committee for this, so I'm going to be abstaining from this.
Thank you for letting us know. Any other discussion on this? Okay, with that, I'll bring it to a vote. All in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. The motion passes 6-0 with Commissioner Mayer abstaining. This brings us to our last public comment portion of the evening. As a reminder, you may not exceed 3 minutes per person. Please state in your name and physical address if you have not done so already at this meeting.
Margaret Brum, 404 East Magnetic Street. Recently, the city of Marquette invested time, effort, and money to replace a badly maintained stairwell out at Presque Isle, otherwise known as the Island. This replacement of the stairwell was considered a success by all who heard about it, used it, read about it, everything. In other words, it was a win, 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 win. There were 2 interviews done. One was done with the city, and it was very formal and very dignified. And then a reporter reached out to me and said, "Do you want to talk about this?" And I said, "Sure." And I talked about how much the island meant to me and the fact that my mother, her last big triumph was walking down those steps and out onto the break wall. And it was one of the things that motivated me not to give up, as well as my nephew's memorial bench being at the top there. So I was personally motivated to stick with this, and I did. There were some comments on Facebook that I found to be interesting because I think they were not rude. I think they were just frustrated people. Stairwell got fixed. I posted it, and fifth down is, okay, when are you going to do something about the bad smell in the bathrooms at Matson Park? And I thought to myself, am I going to take ownership of that one? And I thought to myself, I don't believe I'm going to take ownership of that one. And then later on, there's another stairwell at the island over near the gazebo that needed work. And there were some other basically frustrated people saying, this is maintenance that needs to be done. And I believe they're correct in their frustration because as hard as I've looked on the city website, there is not one page that tells people who to email or to call for maintenance requests. And I appreciate that I know generally my way around the city and I can make enough people aware of something to get things done, but I don't think it's easy for other people to figure that out. I mean, the Wastewater Advisory Board is responsible for the sewage systems in Marquette, but are they the ones responsible for the smell at Matson Park? I don't know. Is that the Public Works Department, or did they delegate that out to a contractor? Again, I don't know. So I would encourage you to find a page on the website that just lists, hey, if you've got a problem with a maintenance issue for the city, you know, stairwells, call this or email. I would have preferred email because, as you know, phone calls get lost. Many, many times people have said to me, hey, I mentioned it to a city worker, but it didn't go anywhere. Well, as you know, if it's posted on Facebook or mentioned to a city worker, it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm encouraging you to develop a simple way of reporting these things because I believe that a lot of people want the city to pay attention to stuff, but they don't know the best way to do it. And certainly asking me if I'm going to clean up the bathrooms at Matson Park is not going to get that done. I hate to disappoint the person who suggested that. But again, thank you for your work on the stairwell, and let's try to make it easier for people to let you know what needs to be done. Thank you very much.
Do we have anyone else for public comment this evening? Anyone else? Okay. With that, public comment is now closed, and it brings us to comments from the commission. I'm going to start today with Pro Tem Schlegel.
Oh, I didn't see that one coming. Thank you, Mayor. I really don't have a lot to say today. I know that I was gone this past weekend from our community, but I can tell you that I know that there were thousands of people that came in for Art on the Rocks and the Outback Show and the Blueberry Fest. I'm hearing about the One Wheel group. That's cool. But I had a number of people that I've known throughout the years tell me that they came back this weekend specifically, and the overwhelming response of how welcoming the community was, how well the events were run, and just, you know, laying out the red carpet for all these people that come to take advantage of our beautiful community. And one in particular, a friend of mine from Iowa that is, you know, hell-bent on getting up here at some point in time to retire. But point being is that, you know, it's really, it says a lot about everything from our public works to police and fire and everybody else that keeps everybody safe. And it makes me in particular very proud of where I live to have that kind of response for people that just reach out to say, wow, you are so lucky to live where you live. So thank you.
Commissioner Mayer?
Nothing this evening.
Commissioner Ottaway?
Yeah, real quick, I wasn't going to say anything, but Ms. Lubig that brought the idea of an ordinance against basically traveling animals, I think that it kind of hit home with me because it's something I've thought myself for a long time, that this didn't really vibe with our community. So I'd really be interested to see what she has cooked up and, encourage everyone to take a peek at it, because I think that, when it comes to just kind of the types of things we, kind of promote in our community, I think we should make sure our community's values align with that. And I think that's really what she was trying to demonstrate there. And I think it's worth taking a look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Zach. I don't think I'm alone in wanting to make sure that we have safe and available different types of transportation in our city. And I really like the idea that we have a variety. I don't know if you intended to be the leader and the advocate for One Wheels, but I have seen you at the meetings for the master plan and the recreation plan. And I want you to know that you've made us more aware of One Wheels, and I think that's a wonderful thing. I don't think you're doing dangerous wheelies down Washington Street. It is a wheelie. But I really appreciate your advocacy for that form of transportation, and I hope you keep it up. We are more aware of one-wheelers because of you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gottlieb?
Yes, I actually have two comments. I see Mr. Lutenberger has left. I agree with Mr. Lutenberger's comments about loving to see mass transit brought into Marquette and the Upper Peninsula. I also agree with his comment essentially of but where. I certainly have a problem with seeing a train station in downtown Marquette again. I don't want to give up any of our green space or our linear parks to bring a train station back here. Maybe there's a way to bring it in through Ellis&I and have it out at Forestville, or better yet, Negaunee. But boy, would I love to see a train station up here, just not downtown. Or on Lake Street. I don't want trains on Lake Street. Second, and this one might more ruffle feathers, is given the huge number of tourists that were here and, as you said, took advantage of what we have, I think it's about time we start, as a city commission, pushing a little harder for getting support for our infrastructure from the large number of tourists that are coming here. And we need to start looking, I think, seriously at a hotel tax and a tax that would involve VRBOs and Airbnb. I know we can't do it without changing legislation, but it's got to start somewhere. We as a city can start asking our legislatures to look at this and do it more vocally than we have been. Thank you.
I don't have a whole lot. This last weekend, a lot of folks in town. One of the biggest, when I was out and about talking to folks, overwhelmingly people enjoying being in Marquette and being out. But as far as locals, the thing that I got talked to about most was e-bikes and getting around town, and how the city intends to run this committee. So I think, I keep telling that, with this, it's a process. It's going to be moving forward. We've got folks on the commission and larger community moving to look at ways of what other communities are doing and how we might be able to best, incorporate e-bikes and maybe one wheels and other items into our infrastructure that we have now. The last thing that I have is that I was just hoping that maybe the city manager would make a comment on just no findings in the process and, all these pieces.
Thank you.
It's a big undertaking, so I feel like it deserves just a smidge more.
It definitely does. I only have a few comments. I did want to address Matt's comment about transportation and looking at all forms of transportation, which we already are with our transportation study that we have underway right now. We're working with a consultant and we're trying to find the best ways to use our streets so we can accommodate everyone in a way that works well for our area specifically. I also agree that I don't want a train station downtown. I know that the letter of support we gave for bringing Amtrak to the UP, I would love it. I see it also as a very hard thing to do, but if someone can make it work, I am happy to support it. And I also agree with Carrie that we should push our legislatures. We do regularly tell them, and every single representative that I meet, I tell them, I just want to tax tourists. I want to take the burden off of our residents. If you can tell me you'll give me a way to do that, I will vote for you. So I say it to every single person that I meet that's running for office and doing that. And I encourage everyone to do that, because right now, too many people in Michigan don't realize that we are very limited with how we can tax. It is income tax or it is property tax. And in an area like ours, where we see such an influx of tourists using our infrastructure and being a part of our everyday life, it makes it much more difficult to continue as a city. We have all that strain on there with no support from the state or from anything else. And so that is put on the weight of the people that live here. So it is something that I would love to see changed. Most states around us have 10, 14 ways of taxing things to give you the options here. And I know that people comment on the hotel tax that already exists for the county, but that tax can only be used to promote more tourism, which is not necessarily something that we need at this point. I love tourists, though, don't get me wrong. Other than that, I do not have anything else today. So that brings me to comments from our city manager.
Certainly, thank you. I think that it's important to say that we've been talking about exploring any type of tourist tax, and I will say that almost every single one of the commissioners up here has brought it to our attention as well from staff side. So when we talk about this, we are looking to work with our economic development orgs who have some of the experience and some of the knowledge, and then also again with Travel Marquette and our hoteliers, because they do have quite a bit of information and knowledge, and do have their fair share of concerns, but also some ideas too. So I think this could be a real good collaborative effort amongst our community here to talk about that. And I think it's safe to say we do love our tourists. It is an important part of our economy, and it's been recently discussed with the City Commission about a strategic, a sustainable tourism plan, which talks about how we can continue to sustain these levels of tourism, not necessarily promote tourism necessarily, because it's not what we are focused on, but really talk about how we can continue to serve our residents and our visitors, and have our infrastructure last as long as it needs to. So that is something that we've talked about recently, and we'll hear more about that as we finish up the strategic plan too. I want to certainly say and recognize Zach for his efforts in coming to the manager meetings and keeping us informed and challenging us, I would say as well, with how we view one wheels and motorized transportation and non-motorized transportation in particular. So it's something that we continue to discuss internally and find that right fit here on how we can incorporate all modes of transportation and safe transportation as well. And to talk about Olivia as well, Olivia has been contacting our office for quite some time now and working through some of the parts of the process that go into making an ordinance, but then also addressing that with the City Commission. So I was so happy to see her come here, and I do believe that she is looking to discuss this with the county, as well as this could be potentially something that if it moves from the city, moves out into a different area, which may still be of concern. So look forward to seeing her at a county commission meeting here in the near future. To address, the request to maybe make a few comments on our audit, I had that on my list here to congratulate our finance department and our staff, especially our CFO and her team, because this is a huge undertaking. An audit is not easy. It's easy when you're doing everything, so right, but it is also a lot of work to prepare files and to prepare samples and testing for our auditors. And so it does take up a lot of the time. It's in a short period of time as well, between the end of the fiscal year and the required 6-month reporting period. So it is certainly a huge undertaking. To have no findings, it is quite the accomplishment. So congratulations. But there's also something to be said that when there are findings, that doesn't mean that there is any fraud or mismanagement or anything of that nature. Sometimes it is hey, we need to reevaluate our processes, or hey, we were unaware that something's changed for state requirements. So just keep that in mind when you do see maybe even some of our other organizations or cities. If they do have a finding, it's not the end of the world. It just means we got to tighten some things up. But we are not dealing with that this year. It's also presenting a lot of information that prepares us for budget. And I do think that if Commissioner Gottlieb has a number of questions, those might be things that we even bring up during our budget meeting because it does tie into that and how we view our budget and our fiscal or financial forecast for the next few years out. So I'm looking forward to presenting a little bit more on that as well. But all in all, I'm incredibly proud of this audit, and congratulations to our finance department for that, and to all of you who for really managing that too and overseeing that. So I hope that covered it, unless you wanted something more nerdy in there, Commissioner Larson. So that is all I have. Oh, wait, actually, I'm sorry. I do have one more. You're going to start hearing some more about trash. So as we edge a little bit closer into August here, we're going to start talking about parking and what that means for those parking changes. So dun, 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 yes, that's coming. But I think we need to also educate and improve how we are messaging that and talking about why we need to space things out, why there are some challenges, and how we can maybe play a part in making this smoother, and then they can get off the roads a little bit sooner so we can park there. So look forward to that, maybe. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned at 6:45 p.m.